this episode, we are going to look at speaking strategies. And we're going to look at how to expand your answers. And I want to help you with this subject because, as you probably know, over the last couple of weeks, I started accepting online students for tutoring to help them pass the speaking part. The reason I did this was because in the future it's going to be a service we offer, a new service, and I want to perfect the technique. And at the moment I'm doing the classes, but in the future when it's a service offered to help more students, it'll probably be myself and another tutor that I train. Now, I've got two techniques that I really like using, and I like using them because they help deliver fast results, and especially by delivering sort of like quick and automatic answers. Now, what I've realized over the last couple of weeks doing these classes is that these techniques are good, and very effective, especially for fluency and especially for building confidence. And they've become even more effective when we apply them to IELTS. But they needed to be adapted. This is why I was doing the classes. Now, here's some useful advice, because these questions are good, these techniques are good to get you started, to get rolling, so to speak, with your answer. But then, once we've answered, for example, tell me the good qualities a friend should have, yeah? And a student might answer, a friend should be loyal, they should be trustworthy, they should be punctual, and they should be there if you need a hand. Now, where do we go from here? You've answered the question, but the examiner did not ask you that question to find out if you had the characteristics of a good friend, you know? They weren't asking about what you think are good traits of a friend because they want a friend for their daughter, okay? They're asking you probably know this, but they're asking you these questions because they want to hear your linguistic ability. It's not about if you're a good person or not. They don't really care about the books you've read. They want to know if you can express yourself. So, as I was saying, we answer the question. A friend should be loyal, they should be friendly, they should be there when you need them, they should be generous, etc. We've answered the question. Now what? Now what? Well, there's a few different ways we can take this answer. We can say because, and we can say they should be loyal, because if a friend is loyal, you know that they will stand up for you, that they will be there for you in difficult times, and for example, maybe you lose your job, but if the friend is loyal, you can be certain that they will stick around. Yeah? Now we've answered the question, and we've gone into details. We said because, and it slipped out, but this was going to be my next point. We gave an example. For example, if you lost your job, and we can go for detailed examples, and we can also go for hypothetical examples. We can go for detailed real-world examples for explaining what happened in the past. Yeah? A friend should be loyal. For example, a few years ago, I lost my job in the bookstore, and it was because the new manager wanted to clear out old employees, but my friends, they stuck up for me and they helped me fight my case against the new manager, and eventually I managed to stay there. So there we go. That was my example, and that's a real world past example. Now, I kind of slipped onto the next technique of giving examples or expanding your answers. And the third technique that I want to share with you are stories. Now, you might think that a story is a long, elaborate conversation and you have to do all these different sort of like techniques and details, but no. A story has three components: a beginning, a middle, what happened, and an end. Beginning, middle, brackets, what happened, brackets, and then end. For example, I went to the shops, I bought some Cadbury's chocolate, I came home. Beginning, middle, and an end. That was the most basic story you'll ever hear. Granted, I understand. However, that's a story, yeah? Going back to what we were saying, what are the qualities a friend should have? A friend should be loyal because, for example, once I worked at a bookshop, I got fired, my friend helped me argue my case, and I got my job back. Okay? Three stages of the story: beginning, middle, what happened, and an end. Yeah? I've reduced it down to three. If you want to go a little bit further, you can say, this is important because, so I got fired, I lost my job, my friend helped me argue my case to get my job back. Eventually I got it back, and this is why I think loyalty is important, because without loyalty, my friend would have just abandoned me and I would have had to fight the manager and the company on my own, by myself. So, just to summarize what I've said so far, we can expand by saying because, we can expand by saying by giving details. No, we can expand by saying because, by giving examples, and in the examples we can say hypothetical ones, or we can use real world past examples. We can give stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we can also, in those stories, we can expand those stories further with details. Going back to my bookshop experience, we could say, I worked in a bookshop in Huddersfield. It was a small bookshop that specialized in nautical books about seafaring, about the Navy, and about boats. And the new manager, David, came in, and he came up from London. He was the manager of a bookstore down in London, and the owner brought this manager up, but we didn't get along, and the manager wanted to cut costs, so he fired me. But my loyal friend, who's also called David, decided that it wasn't fair that I was getting fired, and he helped me fight the case against the new manager, and eventually I got reinstated. And this is why I think loyalty is an important quality. So here I went through the 6 question words. I didn't go through all of them because it would just be too expansive, but the 6 question words: who, why, what, where, when, and how. Okay? The who in this story was the Davids, yeah? The where, I mentioned 2 locations, one up north in Yorkshire, England, Huddersfield, my hometown, which is near Manchester, and also London. And I said he came up from London, and I'm expanding my answers with the details and a story. So remember, the main point of this tutorial is fair enough, we may be doing classes together, and I can get you to the point where you're giving answers quickly and automatically, but still we need to develop them. And my final point is that different students need different classes, or obviously different skill sets. Like some students, for example, I've noticed this, that they will sprint and then crawl, and then sprint, and then crawl. I'll give you an example of what this sounds like. So I used to work in a shop in Huddersfield. It was a bookshop filled with navy books and sailing books, and a new manager came, and he wanted to find me to cut costs. Can you see? We're sprinting, then we're slowing down and stopping, and then we're sprinting again. Okay? This is not a good technique. If this is how you speak, then you need to focus on your delivery. Okay? Another way that this problem might manifest itself is if you're stretching words. Yeah? So a new manager came up and he fired me because he wanted to reduce costs. Yeah? And when you're stretching the sound, stretching the vowels and stretching the words, this is a common trait for speakers of Latin languages, especially Portuguese, Spanish, Italian. They stretch the words because this is possible in their own language. Also, from my experience as well with Indian speakers, they have this sprint, crawl pattern. And I think this is because this is possibly how they communicate in their own language as well, where it's like speed and then maybe stopping and then speed again. But in English, if you have this issue in English, then you need to focus on your delivery. And the homeworks I've been setting and seen great results from, it's mimicking. I've talked about this before. You listen to an audio and you try and repeat it exactly, not only word for word, but also sound for sound, the intonation, the rhythm, the pronunciation, everything. And we're only focused on delivery. And this way we can improve. Later, we look at techniques for expanding your answers, for example. Or we look at techniques for improving your answers and using different grammatical structures. But for some students, all we need to do is work on the delivery. So that's it for me. This is just a quick tutorial that I wanted to help you with. I wanted to share just some tips for the speaking. And if you are interested in improving your speaking abilities, then at the moment there are still some spaces left for classes, online speaking classes. It's one-on-one, it's Skype classes. I had a lot of students go through the course already, and yeah, I'm pretty certain as well soon we'll be having some success stories online, which I'm quite excited about. Maybe you'll be a part of those success stories. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, as I said, at the moment it's me doing it. Probably in a month or two, there'll be a new tutor taking over who I trained up. And yeah, it'll be a good opportunity for you to practice all these techniques. So, my name's Ben Worthington. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day and all the best with your IELTS preparation.
Thanks for listening to IELTSpodcast.com.